Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Dracovin Empire again. We're diving back into the world of Golarion with another interesting ancestor. We're heading to the book Howl of the Wild to talk about centaurs today. So join my hand, your host here, Dracovin, as we shift through the plains to Golarion once more. So grab your great swords or other martial weapons, prepare a spell book, maybe a holy symbol, a little dagger for stabbing in the back, maybe and a couple of healing potions. We're traversing the plains. We're heading through the universe. We're going to Golarion. Woo! Golarion, we've arrived. Ah, man. A tough travel there, but I guess it's time for us to learn about our new friends here from, as I said, the Howl of the Wild book. The Centaurs. Well, Howl of the Wild is only one book. And there is a whole bunch more books. If you want to go for first edition, the Inner Sea World Guide gives some basics, and the Bestiary do, too. These paint a good picture. From second edition, of course, you've got the Monster Core there, and Howl of the Wild. Though, if you want to look online, Archives of Nethys has basically everything in Howl of the Wild up on it. If you look up Centaur, and you can also look up some of the Legacy first edition stuff, too. But, yeah. Anyway, okay, now that we know where to, we can look up for some studies and open up a library and look, what do we know about centaurs? Well, pretty obviously, they are half-human, half-horse beings. They are nomads. They range wild and free along from their ancestral lands across much areas of Golarion. Also survivalists. They teach and instruct, and stand firm in the face of danger, and have skills in archery, herbalism, and magic traditionally. So yeah, they've expanded from their traditional lands to many other places, but they've also found exploitation, intrusion in many of the places they've headed to. But with their survivalist skills, it has kept them alive. And also bonds with family and community are very important. Many are still hunters, trackers, warriors, and bow, steel, and hoofs are ways of combat. They're brave, they're stubborn, willing to chase down foes, the most fierce and largest to protect their homes, kin, and land. They are hunter-gatherers by tradition and rely on the natural world for sustenance. As youths, they're taught to respect the natural world, the ecosystem, and make sure it stays healthy, that they are part of it, not abusing it. And through their lives, they want to preserve this area that they're in for the future, for the people beyond them. They understand they can despoil a land, they can overhunt it, they can cause problems, and that can lead, that greed in these situations can lead to malnutrition, famine, loss of territory. So these mistakes, having been in Centaur's past, keep in their minds. So they adapt to the surroundings and don't abuse the environment. In fact, tend to be guardians of it. And that can lead to clashes with urbanites, expansionists, and others that would cause problems. They love being mobile, restless if they're cooped up or sedentary for too long, fond of racing and athletics, very competitive, and strive for achievements to outdo their fellows. That is what it means to be a centaur. They can be judged as contentious or boorish by outsiders, just by some of their attitudes, but again, physical contests, team sports, with small tokens for victors, bragging rights, these are all important parts of that. So athletics is a big part, but physical exertion, getting the blood pumping, the heart racing, that's big. Now, if you look at a centaur, their form is the muscular bodies of humans, from the waist up, and from the waist down, that of a horse. They're hardy and stable, capable of carrying heavy burdens and cumbersome loads for long periods. They have a great variation in their size, actually. Hair, coloration, most averaging about 7 foot tall and around 2,000 pounds. The coloration is often inherited, but a centaur's coat marking are very unpredictable and can take many distinct patterns. Placements, chromatic shifts, these things that are in their coats are there from birth and don't change over the course of their lives. In the past, when prophecy still existed, this markings were oftentimes used to divine their futures. But now, since the death of prophecy, with the death of Eridan and a lot of trouble like that, rare markings are still considered lucky or an ill omen, but it's not a sign of predicting your future. Now, there are some variations in amongst them. Of course, you can go to the heritages that exist in the books about them. But if we want to talk more ethnicities, they have some kin to humans. In Iboria, there are the Asvora, Rashalka, and Sol Niva, plus a very unusual type of centaur in the Exalted Ward of Rasmir. It's kind of like a reverse centaur, in a way. Kind of unusual. So, again, there are some variations that do exist there, and of course, you have your heritages too. You kind of break it down. Now, if we look at their history, we know that centaurs originated from the continent of Caspian. And many reside today in areas particularly in Ibilidos and Iboria. These two regions seem to be their core of existence. In Ibilidos, they're agrarian, basically they carefully sustain tending farms and gardens, particularly of wildflowers, olives, figs, and grapes, and particularly can create some potent local wines. There are some folklore related to the centaurs that near mythical ones, such as Athavus and Ventradi, were famed to be basically mentors to numerous of the ancient Ibilidian hero gods of old. So, centaurs excelling at training heroes is a rumor that still exists there in their homeland, one of their major ones, and they don't do anything to destroy it. So this comes to them being mentors, to military leaders, healers, astronomers, and engineers through the generations. And it still exists today. So this is a deep part of their history, is this idea of mentoring great heroes that they still can be teachers today. But they have spread since the old ages, from Iboria and Ibilidos to a lot of places. Places like the Isle of Korthos, they are most notably at, where they do have grudges against the citizens of Absalons for the problems that have happened between them. Yeah. And centaurs wage guerrilla warfare against constant intruders into their territory, clash out with nearby harpies and minotaurs. They range across lowlands and forests, alpine meadows, throughout the Immerwood, so they have spread far and wide throughout a lot of areas. Now, if we look at what centaur society is, they maintain a large territory and have a nomadic lifestyle through that area, living as a large mobile community of hunter-gatherers. The areas are defined and maintained through generations. At the heart of each of these territories is a centralized location of impact. It could be a religious site, a meeting place, a camp for maintaining sick or elderly centaurs who no longer can travel with rested bands. Occasionally, this camp is a permanent settlement constructed of limestone, wood, clay bricks, marble, depending on the region, the environment, and surrounded by fields of carefully tended crops or flocks of chickens, goats, and sheep. Centaurs do have a passing fondness for animals, but they rarely keep domesticated pets and find horses as a creature off-putting. Horse. So it's domesticated animals for farming reasons, yes. For pets, that's not something they really do. You look at a band of centaurs, a group of them. They are a tight-knit community. A respected member will be the leader often, who's proven capable, wise, calm under pressure. These leaders are usually middle-aged or older, as life experience is seen as an important quality for a leader. Rarely, a centaur or band chooses to become sedentary, integrate with a larger nation. It can happen. This can happen with smaller bands who've had territories destroyed or stolen, as emissaries representing their bands, adventurers, loners, outcasts, bands that even can't survive against some kind of larger military enemy. Regardless, settling down, joining with other societies is not made lightly. And unfortunately, most centaurs feel constrained in urban environments, particularly settlements built for not something of their size. They are much larger than your average humanoid. When built, centaur constructions are large, airy, allowing for a range of movement. Buildings are communal, above ground, and open to the elements in places. Wide doors, held open, roofs with hatches to allow lights in. Wood, thatch, and mud brick are very popular in a lot of areas. Ibilidos, you'd find harder materials when they're a little bit more sedimentary, with marble and stone being used. In Iboria, they often repurpose old Cyclopsian ruins. Those. In Iboria, also, you see medicine, herbalism, and magical purification being incredibly valued as skills because of all the plagues and illnesses that are present in that region. So, regardless, though, a Centaur band does not dare travel without a few skilled healers, and even hunting parties and scouts rarely split off for too long. Centaur healers and herbalists frequently put aside their differences and affiliations to exchange knowledge at annual meetings known as soothings. These band representatives from across the various nations exchange medical breakthroughs or other knowledges. The largest of these soothings occurs biannually in Vernium, the largest Centaur settlement in Iboria. Centaurs do believe in reform and offer on community pressure to discourage harmful behavior. And unrepentant, and the greatest transgressors. The unrepentant and greatest transgressors, English, please, face exile beyond the borders of the band. Centaurs avoid any lives of their own, except during times of war and mid-battle. While some Centaur bands can serve things like demons and falcons, may attack other Centaurs, they still prefer to harry other foes. So it's even those that serve darker forces still don't really want to fight other Centaurs or attack them unless it's necessary. They still have something about just avoiding taking each other's lives, unless it's absolutely necessary. Centaurs consider saddles and bridles to be restrictive and shamefully insulting, akin to being shackled and caged. They despise being ridden and refuse to serve as a mount except in the direst of circumstances or emergencies, or only for the most trusted companions. Ways of doing things there. So, because they are very deeply connected to nature, and it still does matter how they're raised, the Green Faith, though, is very popular amongst many Centaurs. It is one of the major religions. Again, though, depending on where you are, you may have other beliefs. Other similar deities could be worshipped for respect of nature. Cernunnos, Erastil, Gozera also have connections to nature and can have it. Some feel kinship. Desna, the goddess of traveler. Hey, they're nomads. Healers and herbalists will favor Emorial, Pharasma. In urban areas, Kurges or Gorum are favorites depending on the temperament and profession. There are two primarily religious figures, Green Speakers and Faith Speakers. Green Speakers are one with nature, always the Green Spake, exception herbalists, or otherwise learned in the natural world. Faith Speakers are pious devotees of gods, demons, celestials, other beings. Both are given equal respect, considered two sides of the same coin. Through their speakers, Centaurs interact with the world beyond that they can see and feel. These speakers will lead ceremonies, celebrations, prayers. The celebrations are usually divided between two categories, beginnings and endings. Beginnings are weddings, births, spring celebrations. Endings, harvests, funerals, partings that are usually celebrated at dusk. The spring celebrated at dawn. Death rites vary depending on the culture, the religion. But sedentary bands who choose to cultivate fields, gardens, and crops often burn their dead on pyres, releasing their spirits from the material body, and using the resulting ashes to fertilize fields and gardens so the dead can continue to serve the community. In regions with rocky ground or frigid climates, Centaurs instead bury their dead under cairns and in stone mounds. Now, we turn towards Golarion. Why are we turning towards Golarion? Oh, I'm just to switch it. Because we can talk about some of the regions in Golarion. I think I missed a switch it. I think I did. I don't know where I did. Anyway, that's fine. Places like Kermaga, Cheliax, Mothun, Oprak, these are places where Centaurs assimilate into the larger nations, many living as citizens or merchants, sometimes serving as soldiers or mercenaries. Places like Garund, they walk across the plains and savannas, they get along with other nature-conscious creatures, catfolk, Tripkeys, elves, orcs who battle demons near Lake Okta, undead, battling, and the orcs battle demons near Lake Okta, the undead near the border of Geb and Mazel, and other dangerous sites. Centaurs are still foes with Kaldor and Andor. Both of them had a lot of pressure, and especially the things like Kaldor and their expansions, which drove them into the Verduin Forest from a lot of their other regions. really kind of has gotten in with them and pissed them off. So many have dreams of regaining these areas from Taldan and Andoran control, but it's a pipe dream of legendary. It's just an unfortunate thing. It's a very... So yeah, Inner Sea, Camaron, you can find some. There's some in the River Kingdoms. I said Korthos, Cheliax, Galt, Taldor, the Whistling Plains, Centaur tribes come to camp around the Headwater Gap. The head of the Grass Sea, Centaur mercenaries sell their service within the Kaza capital of Ular Kel, normally making their home in the cosmopolitan district of Corsins. That's Centaur. I'm going to have to figure out where the breaks is. I messed up. They're an interesting group, too. The thing is, I do like a lot of the way that they've been developed here. Centaurs are traditionally very simple in a lot of the ways they're depicted in a lot of role-playing games. The deep cultural understanding and build that that's had for them is really great and fascinating. I think is one of the best displays of how they exist as a society here in Pathfinder. I'm not saying you couldn't find good ones in other sources, but certainly a lot of this stuff was technically established and just expanded upon in the Howl of the Wild book. And we can see how this expansion has given them a very interesting look, very interesting appearance, a very interesting way of doing things. We can understand what it means to be a centaur a lot more. They are beings that have learned old lessons, that they know that they must be one with nature as the nomads that they are, because if not, they're going to damage or disrupt things in ways that are terrible. Doesn't mean you can't trade with others, can't get materials you need, and there are those centaurs that settle down in various places, make lives, homes, in many of the nations that are out there. There is this mixture of centaurs that make them a species that is out there, an ancestry that is out there. It's one of the reasons they are perhaps not a common ancestor, but an uncommon one. You can find them in many regions of the world, many places, from all around the Inner Sea, from down in Garund into Avastahin, to all the way into Camaron. That's spreading to 3 different continents. And yes, they aren't maybe the largest population in any of these continents, to be fair. But their ability to travel, to find new places, to spread, to come together, to work together, and to have these basically unspoken rules of how to do things with each other has mean they have spread and made this civilization, these tribes, these peoples, these bands of their own. And many of them, especially in the same regions, will continue to work together. Much as it is, to the degrees that they need to. They are together, they have community. But I hope you enjoyed learning about Centaur today. I did enjoy diving into ancestries, and, I've been waiting for How the Wild stuff to come up. This is a book I don't have, I've got some other books on them. And finally, the How the Wild stuff is up on Archives of Nethys. It's not my normal site that I go to for primary information, and for looking for sources. But I don't have a source that's updated, I have to go to where I have to go. But it's good. It's all the information in that book. And combined with the other sources I've mentioned that I do have access to already, I've been able to kind of dive into and present you the best look on Centaur. There's some other species that are from How the Wild that I definitely will dive into. We'll get some good ancestors here. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. If you want to check out my schedule, it's up on Discord, Twitter/X, YouTube. It just gives the basic idea of when I'm going live and what I'm doing either on Twitch and when stuff is being uploaded on YouTube. If you're over on Twitch, all would be nice if you're over on YouTube, liking, subscribing, and email. How do you ever played a Centaur out there? Or, interestingly enough, what do you think about playing Centaur? Would this inspire you to have a great idea for one? I'm just curious because, again, I don't think I've played some creatures similar to Centaurs in various editions, but I've never played an actual Centaur. And I've had some players that have also played similar creatures occasionally. But directly, no. So I'm interested in what people think out there. Do remember to go to the social media, the Discord and Twitter and stuff like that, Sword/X, just because those are great places to see the schedule and updates if things change. And Big shout-outs to Crimson Queen Wednesdays at 8. That's my live play Pathfinder 1st Edition. We're reaching the back end of that adventure. We've been in a bunch of episodes, and it's great. I recommend it. Check out just to see some fun 1st Edition Pathfinder live play. And discussing tabletop Saturdays at 8. I'm in 6. Is it 8? 8 rather than 8. Saturdays at 6 for discussing tabletop. We talk about news of the week, deeper discussion. Anyway, I'm going to run off. Probably hang out Twitch a little bit, maybe do some more videos, we'll see. But until the next time we chat, discuss this, learn about ancestry, play something else related to Golarion, Pathfinder, or another role-playing game world, I bid you all a deep and wonderful farewell.